Hello and welcome back. I'm Jay Collier from the Photography Workshop Co. and today I'm talking to you about some new release filters from Haida, which are the new shockproof filters, both in the premium brass and the Bluestone series. So stick around and I'll tell you a little bit more about what these are and what they do and the difference between the two models to help protect your valuable lenses. So anyone that's experienced the pain of scratching a front optic, and you quickly discover the service cost in replacing the front of an optic on a lens such as this doesn't come cheaply. Whereas UV filters over the years have become somewhat redundant for the fact that traditional UV filters were built around using film. So film had a set white balance as an example. The UV advantage is not such a thing anymore with digital. So while it will reduce blues in your highlights and whatnot, and blue haze, particularly outdoor under UV light, it tends not to be such an issue anymore shooting on digital cameras. Where you do need these is to protect your lenses. So what I'm going to do today is put both of these to the test. So very similar to what you might see in Top Gear with a proving ground, where they test vehicles to their breaking point. I'm going to throw some rocks, gravel, all sorts of things at these just to test that the claims are true, that they are shockproof and they do have a very good scratch resistant coating. So stick around, we're going to put some torture to these on top of some of my lenses and just see why you would invest the extra money in buying the new premium brass and Bluestone series of shockproof filters by Haida. So what I've arranged is a big bag of black sharp stones and rocks, which I'm going to pour into a big container and drop these filters onto them, just to simulate what might happen out in the field if you were to drop your lens, or if you were, for example, hiking in the bush, climbing up a steep embankment or a cliff or a rock pool, and you've slipped and a rock or a stick or something has impacted the front of your lens. So that's what I'm going to try and simulate with this stuff this morning, and just see what it takes to damage some of these filters, and therefore how much these stand between those expensive optics that you spend so much money on, where a good filter will protect those lenses from any such damage. So bear with me while I set up some of this gravel in a large container where I can start dropping these filters from heights, also having them in the gravel, gravel running across the front of them, just to test just how shockproof these really are and how well they actually hold up to scratches in the coating. Because between the two, the premium brass has more levels of coating and better light transmission than the Bluestone series. But all of those specs I will have up on the screen on these individually for you, so you can see what the difference is here, and you can check with your local retailer in the country of your origin as to what the current retail prices are on these two sets of shockproof protection filters from Haida. Okay, so I'm back. Just got a little container here. I'm just going to fill up with some of this gravel. So now you'll see, I'll take a close-up of this gravel in a second just to show you just how coarse and sharp it is. The filter itself, new from packaging, and the nano coating on this as well is scratch resistant, shockproof, fingerprints, oil, water droplets will just wipe straight off on the coatings. So let's get into why you're here and test the durability of the coating on this more so. So for a filter straight into some sharp rocks, dropping this from some height, straight into the rocks, throwing it with some pressure. And there is not a mark. The filter itself has resisted any of that shock. So I'm going to take some close-ups and some slow motion of this hitting this tray here of gravel, but then I'm also going to pour more on top of it, give it a wash around inside, and just see how well this stands up to punishment. So as you're seeing here, I mean, this gravel's hitting it at some fairly high velocity. If you think of a hike that you might be doing where this has come hard impact into the ground, then it's held up really, really well. It hasn't shattered. Yeah, there's some marks there from some residue and dust from the gravel, but all in all, I don't think there's much there that's going to show up in any images. I mean, it really has held up very, very, very well. So just giving this a polish up, just a normal lens cloth here, short of a few fingerprints and whatnot in touching this filter, and giving that a good clean. You can see here it's held up very well. No discerning marks in the coating. It's actually held up very, very well. No chips, no major scratches. There may be some very fine scratches, but again, that's nothing that's really going to show up optically on your images. So you'll see by that slow motion footage, we're throwing quite a heavy, sharp rock straight into the filter there. It's held up pretty well. It looks like the coating may have some slight wear, but in a perfect world, one rock hitting your lens is enough to save it. Multiple repeat hits, you would expect some coating wear. So let's just polish this up now. It's had absolute trauma caused to the lens, and we'll have a look at how the coating is looking now. I'll be back with you in 1 second. Okay, so give this a good clean up. Again, just a normal polishing cloth. And some repeated very hard hits. We do have some coating wear, but it's not significant. There's nothing there that is going to show up on your images. That's going to get you through a trip absolutely unscathed. Again, just looking at the very, very close up here, trying to catch some angles of light. You'll see a tiny mark in the coating there, but nothing that is going to show up and show through on your images. So very, very impressed with the new shockproof Bluestone series and premium brass series of Haida protection filters. Okay, so for the final crash test, I am actually going to test this filter on top of one of my very own lenses. So this is a Canon AF series Samyang 85mm 1.4 RF lens, and we're going to drop this big rock at a height straight onto the front of the filter. Unfortunately, this one is an 82mm filter. I don't have another lens with 82mm that I will put at risk, so this one won't be screwed in, but I will be dropping the rock straight onto this lens just to prove a point that I do trust these filters. So stick around, I'm going to convert this to 100 frames so you can see it in glorious slow motion. Okay, so there you have it. Lens survived, filter survived, and it didn't cost me money. So thanks again to Haida for sponsoring. Yes, I did receive these filters free of charge to try and break them, and they've stood up to the test. So if you are in the market for some new protection filters for your lenses, you can't look past the premium brass and Bluestone series of shockproof filters from Haida. So be sure to check out Haida's website for the full range of filters, but again, I will put up the specs on the premium brass and the Bluestone, which will both have the same values as far as its shock protection is concerned. The only difference being a higher light transmission in the brass with more layers of coating than in the premium in the Bluestone. So the specs will be up there, links will be there as well, and for anyone wanting to buy any of the Haida filter products in Australia, don't forget to go to the Australian distributor's website, which is maxim.com.au, and use the discount code to save 10%, which is PC10 at the checkout. So thanks so much for tuning in. I've been Jay Collier from the Photography Workshop Co, bringing you another review on some great gear from Haida. Cheers, guys.